So I think that's one thing that you have to understand with your risk tolerance is how much do you have as a cushion if something goes wrong.
Your risk tolerance changes all the time. Just like when you are starting to do weights in the gym and then you start going up in weight, right? Because you're getting stronger, your muscle is getting developed. That's the same thing with your risk tolerance. The more confident that you get while doing something, the more that your risk tolerance are like, oh, maybe I can do something a little bit harder.
So you hear about knowing your risk tolerance when it comes to investing, but how exactly do you do that? Well, today I want to do a bit of kind of like a walkthrough, a brainstorming session with Lynn and I, because we are both in the middle of kind of reassessing our risk tolerance with how we are going to fulfill our real estate investment goals. We have a few goals that we want to accomplish, but we both have big life changes. For me, I left my W 2 and now I have a daughter and so on. And Lynn has her own big life changes that she now has to take into account and reassess her risk tolerance and how she's going to navigate that. And so I wanted to bring y'all along with this walkthrough. And it's not going to be perfect. Again, this is kind of just like we're kind of like winging it. We're just doing a brainstorming session. And the reason I wanted to bring y'all in this episode was because one of the things I did learn during my time in the military is that because we're only in a certain area for so many years, like 3 to 5 years, we're always having to train the next person, or maybe someone new comes in that just joined and they're having to learn their job. And one of the things that was kind of instilled with me is that when I'm training someone to think out loud so they could understand the rationale and see how I come to the conclusion that I ended up with. And so I feel like with real estate investing, I think that would be helpful as well because, yeah, we could tell you, like, oh, risk tolerance, this is how you do it. And we are going to cover a little bit of that, have some tips, but also kind of like having y'all be inside of our head and hear our discussions. Cause we actually end up doing this every time we like record a podcast episode afterwards. We kind of just like then talk about our real estate investing. And so I thought it would be a good idea to kind of like have y'all listen in and see how we kind of are navigating this, how we're thinking, all of that. So yeah, we're going to just kind of like brainstorm our goals, what we're doing, how we're addressing our risk tolerance, and so on. But before we get into that, don't forget that we do have the Latinas real estate investing community in school. That's a great way to also reach us and, ask us questions. We have resources. We just launched it. And so it would be awesome for you to become a founding member and join and help grow the community. So that information is down below.
Yeah, I just want to mention that your risk tolerance changes all the time. Just like when you are, I don't know, starting to do weights in the gym and then you start going up in weight, right? Because you're getting stronger, your muscle is getting developed. I don't know why my head is in the gym right now, but I guess like I've been working out too hard. Like that's the same thing with your risk tolerance. The more confident that you get while doing something, the more that your risk tolerance are like, oh, maybe I can do something a little bit harder. And that's what we were talking about, Violeta and me. Like earlier, we were just talking about like, what if I just start another business? And this is like something I was talking about. This is not real estate related, but I do have a dream of having a van and convert it and like travel across the country. And when I'm not using it, lending it out in a platform called Outdoorsy, which is something that you can do as well. And she was mentioning her family did some Turo in the past. And even though this is like a thought that comes into my mind, and I actually done research for it and stuff like that, and I looked up bands and all of these things, I am not the kind of person that because, oh, that looks like a good idea, I'm just going to jump on it. Right? Like, that's not how I tackle things. For me, I need to take my time. I need to talk to somebody that's done it. I need to go see visually the bands. I need to see if that is something that I have time for. I have a boyfriend. I would like my boyfriend to get engaged into the business because he knows way more about cars than I do, right? I just have the vision of the converting the van, the design of it, and possibly the customer service of it when we are doing it. but I need more than just like the thought and the possibility of cash flow from that business venture, right? I think this is the difference between like also an employee and like entrepreneur, because I've been an employee for all of my life. I also have not the risk tolerance of an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur kind of feel like it goes from thought to action much quicker than I do. And my risk tolerance is lower in that venture, right? The same thing with real estate. When I started real estate, what I had in my mind, yes, I had the savings to start and purchase, like put the down payment in a house. But in my mind, or at least where how I saw my life, I didn't have time to manage it. Right. So that's why the for like I need to somebody else to manage it for me, because I can spend time virtually looking at houses and going out of state, talking on the phone and stuff like that. But if my tenant calls me, I may be in a session with the patient and I cannot drop the patient. I cannot get off the phone if I go to and some other jobs are more flexible than mine, but mine is not like that. So I have to be present. And so like now, if I'm going to be totally active, that's why Airbnb for me wasn't an option that I think I could do. Not successfully, very poorly, I would be able to do. That was not the way that I needed to go. So, like, I'm thinking about, like, for example, what are my strengths? What are my flaws? And what is actually what I have available to me? What are the resources I have available to me? Do I have people that have done this? Do I know people on the network? Do I have time for this? Am I going to lose out in work time? Because like I don't have family, so I don't have to negotiate that time with my family either. So I don't have kids, so I do have like the job, right? Like the job that's taking me away from. So I just off my mind. That's what like I'm thinking about when something comes out, like that shiny eye syndrome comes back on creeping in.
Yeah, and with risk tolerance, you hear about it when you get into the real estate investment or any type of investment. And it just comes down to understanding what amount of investment risk you're willing to and able to accept. And that is really depends on you and the different factors that are unique to you, which is why I wanted to kind of like brainstorm and see, because maybe you'll notice something that we're talking about that maybe you didn't think about that you might have to take into account, because it is going to become a balance of, your emotional comfort, because that does come into account, and also just the financial reality of where you are right now. And like Lynn said, it changes. It changes. Like when I was younger, when I first started investing in real estate, like it was just me. It was just me, myself, and I, and all I had to worry about was myself. And I had a very stable paycheck. So I knew that I could take a little bit more of a risk. I was young, I had a stable paycheck, I didn't have other responsibilities. So my risk was pretty low. I would be able to recover if something went wrong. Whereas now it has changed. And, as we go through this, these are things that I have to start thinking about now, because now, I'm married. So now it's, have somebody else to think about as well, that if I fail, it's not just impacting me, it's impacting him as well. And also my daughter as well. I have more expenses now. I have other properties, and just all that comes into play. And then now I have somewhat still of a stable paycheck. It's just not as much as when I was in the military. And so now I have to kind of like navigate all of that. And so that's kind of what I wanted to get into on finding that balance of like the emotional aspect, because you'll hear it of like, oh, facts over feelings or whatever, but we're not freaking robots. Like that comes into play, because at the end of the day, like your emotions are going to come into when you see something going wrong. Like you might panic sell. Like I've had that happen where I didn't understand the emotional aspect as well, and I ended up selling one of my properties, to where like in hindsight I probably wouldn't have sold that property now that I am more knowledgeable and know my strategy and all that stuff. But I had something go wrong and I panicked and I decided to sell that property. And also with, we talked about it in another episode, but of the property in California that I had, that was also understanding my risk tolerance and a little bit of my emotional aspect, but a little bit more strategic and a little bit more level headed, because that was a high mortgage. And what I didn't want to do is that if I had a vacancy, like I didn't want to have to cover that. I think it was like 4,200 mortgage payment. I was like, that's too much. I'm going to lose sleep over that. And so I decided to sell. So two different emotions that I went through, still ended up selling, but you do have to take that into account and learn how to balance that. So yeah, let's go through what our plans are a little bit, and hopefully we don't go too long. Can try to do a quick brainstorm session, and I'll let Lynn go into what her goals are and how she's planning it out.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm a W-2 employee. I've been a W-2 employee for a long time, but I am planning of leaving my W-2 this September. And you asked me why I picked September, and there is like a whole plan in my mind. Hopefully that it goes as I was expecting it, but like the job that I have, it's a great job with great benefits. And my niece is also graduating from the same degree. So I plan to transfer the job to her. So she would be fully qualified and licensed for that by August. And it will be like a month in leeway for training in there so I can leave the job safely. But also, I wanted to max out my 401k before I left the job. So that is like a staple number one. Yes, I'm still contributing to my 401k, even though I invest in real estate. And there are many reasons for that. If you want to ask me any questions, please leave it in the comments because I can go on a tangent of that. Some people are like, what are you doing investing in 401k where real estate gives you more returns, whatever. The whole point is that I started this plan last year. So last year, when I was trying to take Tally up, if you asked me like a whole year ago, like June of last year, you're gonna leave your W-2 and start your own practice. I'm like, no, that's never gonna happen. But last year, I was telling out what is possible for me. So since 2020, when I started investing in real estate, in 2022 when I bought my first house. I've done a lot of things over the last 4 years that have put me out of my comfort zone and have proven to be even greater safety measures for me and also propel me into different venues. Like I never thought of myself as an entrepreneur, business owner. I couldn't even call myself an investor after having like 8 houses. Like I guess I'm an investor. I don't know. But that was like a mental switch and mind switch to me. So now I'm putting myself in a position this year to hopefully leave my W-2 to start my own business with my own career, which I'm a nurse practitioner. That's what I do for my W-2 and have my own practice and dictate my own hours and be my own boss this year. This is something that it's like totally out of my comfort zone, but I'm putting myself in this position to be able to try it. And I am very aware of the fact that I might fail. And hopefully I don't know, but I'm okay with the fact that I might fail. If I do fail, I go back to a W-2, which is where I am right now. So it wouldn't really be that much of a setback, but there are many things that I'm doing this year to position myself there. So this started December last year. I gave myself 9 months. So 9 months, one, to max out my 401k because I take that as another safety measure that I can tap into if anything fails. I am saving 1 year of expenses because that's where I feel comfortable. What I'm going to try my whole, business venture for 1 year to see if actually brings at least 70% or maybe 60% of that normal income that I'm getting. And I'm also real estate wise. Last year, I have my ADU that's offsetting the majority of my mortgage currently because it's being rented. And then I have the 12 properties that are an additional safety measure that are bringing income. And the first year I'm not buying anything is this year because I made myself promise that I'm going to be saving the reserves from these properties that I do have that do require, capital expenditures. They do have vacancies that do require those expenses to no longer come out of my regular income. So those are three things that I'm doing just to position myself in a better place to do something hard. So this is incredibly hard for me. Might not be as hard for you to think like, oh, she's just gonna leave for the W-2 and then open her own company. For me, it's like incredibly hard. But I'm giving myself those 9 months to prepare and then to do every single thing that I can to take that leap, take that risk.
Yeah, I kind of went through the similar thing when I decided to leave the military. It wasn't just like a overnight decision. It wasn't like I'm tired and everything, although I kind of wanted to. Luckily, luckily I was still under contract, and so that I think that was my saving grace because I probably would have just like because I was done with the military. But because of the contract, I think I was at 2 years out, so I had 2 years to start planning it out and make that, first of all, make that decision. And then a year out, I would say that's when we really got into preparation. Well, a year and a half preparation mode with my husband. That's when we sold our house because I did not want to have to worry about selling that house while moving, while also getting out of the military and still have, being responsible for that mortgage payment. And so we sold that house a year early. And then we went to renting for that last year that we were in California. So that reduced our expenses. We didn't have to worry about a house, it was already out. And we also had like a second mortgage on that, so that paid off that loan that we had and really like created a clean slate. And that allowed us to really reduce our expenses and start building kind of a cushion as well. So I think that's one thing that you have to understand with your risk tolerance is how much do you have as a cushion if something goes wrong. And Lynn's building that, I built that at that time. And now I don't necessarily have, and it's kind of something that we talk about sometimes here and there, of like the emergency funds for your property. And now I kind of mostly rely on, yeah, I have a little bit of cushion, but I also have like my credit cards or whatever, and my 401k, whatever. Those are emergency funds as well. But I have to do that strategically as well because, for example, with this recent property, I was like, okay, I am going to go use my credit cards, but I also know that I can pay them off in X amount of months. And so right now we're kind of like in a no buy until those credit cards are paid off. So that's understanding that ability, your capability of paying unexpected expenses. So understanding how liquid that is as well. So, like, do you have to sell property to pay something like for an emergency, or can you just get a loan from your 401k or whatever to help you to have that as a cushion? So those are things that I thought about. I also kind of planned out of like, okay, I need to really reduce my expenses because I know we're going to reduce our income. Like I wanted to take a year off of working at that time. Now I don't plan on going back to work now because I'm doing this full time. So, but at that time, I was like, okay, I need a year's worth. So that way I can have some breathing room. I don't want to work. I'm burnt out from working from the military. And then I also, had my daughter. So I wanted to like really just enjoy time with her, whatever. And so really just went into paying off debt, reducing our expenses, all that. And even now we're kind of still working on reducing our expenses. We're doing a refinance to lower the interest because when we did this house, we did a construction loan, which was way higher interest rate. So even though we have high interest rates with conventional loans or whatever, it's still going to drop me like at least 2 percentage points minimum. So that's already a win. So that's another way we're reducing our expenses. And now it's kind of like me and we were brainstorming. It's like, okay, so now what's next? I want to definitely scale, but now I have to assess my risk again and figure out like how much can I do right now? I can't buy another property until these credit cards are paid off, and then I'll take on another property because I do not want to like start a new property and then try to figure out paying on this when I don't want to stretch myself out too thin. So planning for maybe August, September, and then understanding that risk as well. So that's how I'm navigating because now I don't have a W-2 income, figuring out the loan aspect. I got like an email the other day of like some loan products and how much I would be expected to bring to the table and all that. So, yeah, just thinking and really diving into my financial situation right now.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that's going to change all the time. I'm sure if you ask us 3 years ago, what is a DSCR loan? I don't know. Like, but now that the more time you spend in this space in real estate and you see other people using DSCR loans, you're like, okay, maybe that's a loan product I can use. Like right now, Violeta doesn't have a W-2 income. And technically, she can still go buy houses if she wants because she has access to DSCR loans. Right now, the ADU they're having the back is offsetting my mortgage, and I could potentially build another ADU in the same lot And I'm using the equity, the current equity in my house to do that. So I'm not like coming out of pocket for that particular thing. And it's possibly going to upset all my mortgage. I don't know yet. But those are things that are like we are constantly trying to figure it out. And it's okay if your plan takes time. It's totally fine if your plan takes time. If your plan takes time, if your plan takes money, as long as you're working towards something. So that is the thing that we are always like, our wheels are always turning. What is the best thing we could do right now? And I think because a lot of us get stuck in analysis paralysis, and it's really hard from going to like the planning, the calculating, like the month spans to like actually taking action, because you get comfortable and you get safe in that area. Like there's no movement. So you're not employing cash or you're not putting your money at risk or whatever. But at one point you are going to have action. And I think the best way to have action is to go and see other people do it. So if you're not sure, if you have doubts, your position and your situation is unique to you. But when you see other people in almost the same positions that you were at one point doing it and making it work, it gives you a confidence that maybe you don't have right now, right? So that's why we invite you to come to our community or join any communities. It doesn't have to be ours. Maybe you don't like us. Maybe it's fine. But join something. Like get along with the people that look like you, that have almost the same experience that you do, or are moms, or want to live the single life, whatever it is. Like join a community that are working towards the goal that you have. If it's become work optional, join that. If it's just like investing into stocks, then join that. But if you're interested in real estate and if you want to learn more about real estate, join our community.
Hmm. Yeah, and I want to like ask Lynn because I think hers is a little bit more complicated because like with me, I have a little bit of the luxury that, my husband, we both have paychecks from the military, so that's a cushion, but he also has, a 9 to 5 job. So that has really helped with the risk tolerance with me. Now that doesn't mean I'm going to go take crazy risk tolerance, but Lynn has like she's gonna build a business, which that in itself is a lot of work. And she has to think about like building clientele, how many clients does she need to have to cover her costs. So she has to be very aware of her current expenses right now, which, we were talking about like you really have to know your financial situation. So you have to go look at it. You can't avoid it and just, hope for the best. Like that's where she's kind of at. And we've had a few conversations of like her, like, okay, well, now like I have X amount of expenses because she does have a portfolio. She went ham. She went crazy with investing and scaling. And so now she's like at that point where like everything's getting stabilized. And during that time, she's jumping into going on her own. So I kind of want to like go into like your head and like what are you thinking, what are your fears, like, and whatever you want to share, like,
Yeah.
to
Oh,
see how you are navigating because September is right around the corner.
yeah. T minus 3 months. So I want to do like little like sticky notes just to pull off the things off the wall until, yeah. No, it is nerve wracking. And like you do say, I do not have like anybody that's like going to help support me through the time. But I also lived like in the past very frugally. And then even though I live in Los Angeles, like my burning rate, like of all fixed expenses, it's about $4,000 a month, right? This is not luxury. This is not going out, no McDonald's, not, which is like, I guess, a luxury, but now nothing like that. So if I add like just regular takeout, gym memberships, like I'll have to quit the gym because my gym, I am very into health right now. So like my gym membership is $200 and you would think like that's not frugal, right? Like you can get what is Valley Fitness, 24-hour fitness for like $35 a month or something like that. But I love my gym because I pay that $200. It takes me out of the house. Like I make sure that I do go. If I don't go, I get like a late cancellation policy fee that I have to pay additional money for. So that drives me to go and wake up early and then do those things. So with those, I guess luxuries, it would be like maybe like $5,000 a month in which I would have to do. Now, the ADU that I have rented is $2,000. So like that leaves $3,000 for remaining of the year. My goal is to have 5 times 12, which is 1 year of expenses, right? So I don't have to worry about money for 1 year. That counting, nothing else happens, like no AC breaks or anything like that. And then so for my rental portfolio, I think I've been very transparent about like the fact that I haven't taken 1 cent out of the income that I got in from the rental portfolio. Everything has been reinvested. And then so now I'm building reserves and now I'm seeing like the cash accumulate from that. So I want that to have its own emergency fund. And my business overhead is about $12,000 a year, which I have right now for the overhead for the next year. So technically, I'm giving myself 1 year to spend time trying to build this new thing, which is what you said, getting clientele, putting a website together, making sure I'm doing marketing, whether that is connecting with other people in the same field that I am, therapists, going to events, conferences, trying to, which is really hard, sell myself as a provider for you in the state of California. So those are things that I like learning about. And I think it's not just so much the tasks that I have to do, it's the mindset that I have to have. So because I'm action driven, like, okay, give me a list and I'll knock it down by the end of the day if I don't have work, right? Like if I don't have other responsibilities in the day. That's not hard for me. The hard part is like switching that thing from like you have this fixed income that you're counting on, and now it's up to you to make that happen, like make the ish happen, right? Like that is the thing is the hardest for me, I think. I think everything else is gonna flow on its honesty. But honestly, I don't know how I'm gonna feel because this is the first time I'm not gonna have a job and I might freak out. But I think I've been over the last 9 months, I've been between freaking out and getting excited, freaking out, getting excited. Sometimes it's just more freaking out. But I want the exciting thing to build because like this is the first time I'm not gonna have a boss or like have to count billable hours, or I drive a lot for my job right now. Like I like 3 hours every day, 200 miles every day. So like I'm not gonna have that. So it's just going to be up to me, and it's exciting, but it's also scary. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
That is something that like you do navigate. It was because we are going, like working hard and in our job and everything. So like when I like left, I felt like such a like such a loser sometimes. And like I was like, ay, que yo ando de floja, like I'm not doing anything. But no, yes I am. I'm building now, focusing on my real estate investing business and really taking, money chisme and stuff. And I'm really focusing to actually grow this and make it profitable. And so I have a few things also, and I'm in the works of taking over my properties in Milwaukee and managing those because now I could just use that funds for me. I have more experience, I understand it better, have better systems. So now that income, I could bring it and keep it in house to also create another cushion and everything. Because right now, I like everything, same thing, reinvesting everything right now. So I think I got to a point where all my investments are really just being reinvested because my expenses are already basically covered. And so now this is just doing its own thing. And so, yeah, that's what I wanted to kind of like share, like how, especially with Lynn, like as she goes into this journey, and I'm super excited. I know it's going to be scary and everything. And then especially because you have to get like your own clients and all that stuff, but you also have kind of like an exit strategy as well. Like, I mean, if it is going to work out, it is going to work out, but like you also plan for like if it doesn't, right? So all those things is what we kind of like think about how we can reduce our risk, if what's the worst that can happen if it does, like how am I going to navigate that and what can I do right now to help prevent that. Lynn is doing a whole year, which I think is good because I think before you used to have like an emergency fund for like 3 months, and it's like no, now with the job market and with the economy and everything like that, like a good year. And I think that's a good timeline to help build clientele because you have to grow and all that stuff. So I'm excited for you.
The older
And
you get, the more comfortable you get with your lifestyle too. So I understand that taking down, like moving back, it feels like moving back a little bit, but it's not, right? Like you're building something for yourself. You're building something that you want. And doing this also is going to give you more time to dedicate to real estate chisme, to managing my manager. She's going to hate that. But making sure that I like all the things I'm gonna have way more time to. I'm sure you're gonna get emails at 2 a.m. like we should just do this, and just because I'm gonna be like on overdrive, kind of like trying to make up for it, like time that I'm not using right now. But I'm being new, and I'm calling it like a life experiment too. So, I mean, you have done it and you're happier. It sounds like better.
Mhm.
And you get to spend time with your daughter and like that's beautiful, right? And
Mhm.
that is also there's some things that I want for my life to be able to move with more intention, less preoccupied about like bill hours and management and interdisciplinary kind of things at work, and no more driving so much. So we, oh yeah, we're gonna go down to one car. So like that's another help there.
Mhm.
Yeah. And maybe more cooking, probably more cooking. I don't know. But yeah,
That's what I thought I would do, but I haven't cooked.
I,
I was like, "Oh, and I'll have more time to, like, learn these recipes and blah, blah, blah," and I still haven't done it, but, like, I've been in my garden most of the time, and yeah, and just doing this and just yeah, like, playing with my daughters, so, yeah, that's what we wanted to, like, to share, and so that way you could, like, if you're thinking about, like, investing in real estate, that's one thing that you start thinking about, like, okay, if I was to get into this property, like, what's the worst thing and how can I cushion myself to ride that out so that way you don't panic. So because there's going to be things that come up, vacancies, something happened or whatever, and if you plan for them and you set yourself up, reduce your risk, like, you're going to be able to continue on or to recover, bounce back, and then try again. And yeah, and then eventually you'll gain the confidence, the knowledge, and build yourself enough security to just take a little bit more risk, which is kind of like where we're a little bit heading towards, because now I'm like definitely taking on riskier projects. But again, that's my risk tolerance. Lynn knows her risk tolerance. But yeah, again, let us know any questions, anything that's on your mind to help you kind of like overcome this negative thoughts or this little voice saying that, like, no, it's too risky. No, 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 don't do it. Yes, no. Again, don't forget the school community. Don't forget have a starter kit down below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share this podcast, rate it. It helps us grow and reach more people out there who may be interested in investing in real estate. Other than that, I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
bye guys.